Hey guys, wanted to change the venue a little bit to talk about the other strategies to ensure success in your fitness world. Came outside because number 3, again, I equate everything to war and battle. Study your opponent. So years ago, when I first decided to try and drag the Rhino, being myself of course, through any type of distance event, I found it very interesting that every one of the races was nice enough to post the race chart, the actual like mileage chart, the elevation chart, the course, everything. So that for me was like getting the answers before the test turned out. And there were teachers that did that for me in high school and college, and especially when they were much more detail oriented and they wanted to make sure that you actually got the information in your head. They gave you that information and then went over it with you. They do this in just about every event out there. You kind of know what's coming at you. So why wouldn't you study your opponent, the opponent being the event? So study the course, study the elevation, study the mileage, study every ounce of it. See what you're actually going to need fuel-wise, and then tailor your training to it. Look at the weaknesses that ultimately that course, your opponent, would exploit in you. And you now have a relatively laid out plan of what you should be working on when you're training yourself. So it's a good idea to kind of look at things through your opponent's eyes. And the race is staring back at you, or if you're a UFC guy and I'm not, if you're a UFC guy and you're in a cage and you're staring at somebody, 9 times out of 10, you working on your own skills somewhere involved you knowing what he was capable or she was capable of. So study your opponent. Pay attention to what's coming at you. Figure out how to actually take it down and then move forward. Okay. Number 4, a willingness to be uncomfortable. Now, unfortunately, there's been a rash of attacks on runners and that kind of stuff, which, I'm going to actually be doing a very small self-defense course for runners. It's obviously very female oriented, but at the same time, I invite males to come in too. And it's from the perspective of somebody who's worked in bars for like 13 years and who dabbles in different art forms of, self-defense and, body control and so on and so forth. So it's a very broad perspective. Nobody's ever going to become a black belt at anything, learning from me. But at the same time, I'm going to present perspectives that you might not have considered going into such situations, like running alone, training alone, that kind of stuff. So these are all things that we'll go over in the future. But a willingness to be uncomfortable means you're going to put yourself in environments that are basically going to create discomfort. So if you want to improve your mileage time, then you have to run. And time is, not always a luxury. Not everybody has an entire day off. Some people have to work. Some people have children. Whatever the reason may be, you may not have 100% control of the hours in your day. So you work with what you're given. And if you want to finish a full marathon and can only run 3 days a week at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, things may not be that great for you. So you have to start looking at other times and other places to actually get the work in. And this is where that willingness to be uncomfortable matters. So if you're in the weight room and you're going after strength gains, or you're trying to pull your waistline in, or you're trying to broaden your back or your chest, whatever the goal may be, it's going to hurt. It's not going to feel good. You're going to put yourself through a lot of sets and reps that a lot of other people would have quit a long time ago. Anytime I do any kind of hill training, like if I'm actually running as hard as I can up a hill, I throw up. There's kind of a thing between me and big explosive movements for long periods of time in my stomach. But it's one of those things where I kind of accept it, and it's not like I'm ripping my esophagus up. It's not a disorder of any kind. It's extremely predictable, and the after effects are nothing. So there's a willingness to be uncomfortable. When I run up hills, sometimes I puke, and that's how it goes. So if you lift heavy things, things are going to get sore. That's how it goes. If you want to lose weight, you're not going to eat sweeties all the time. That can make you uncomfortable. You have to be willing to put yourself in an environment that's going to make you uncomfortable. And as long as you can do that, you'll reach those goals. No time. Finally, and this is probably one of the most underestimated things that you can do for yourself when it comes to achieving success in just about anything. A realistic self-outlook. You got to know you. One of the things I run into when it comes to dealing with clients or just, everyday people off the street who want to ask about, certain topics, certain things. There is this, and I got to be careful, because, and I display it too. I'm guilty of this. What I'm pointing out right now is something that every human being on this planet is guilty of at some point. So there is this level of arrogance that comes to the fitness world that because you're you should be able to do anything. And that is the kind of attitude that gets a lot of people in trouble. So there was a time when I thought I could literally move the world. Like there was enough strength in my body to throw cars across a parking lot. Like I grossly overestimated what my strength was. And at the time I was about 315 pounds. I was a hog. There was absolutely no cardio whatsoever in my world. And at the time I was cheering, believe it or not, I was a cheerleader. And my coach pretty much said that I need you as strong and as big as possible because I need to stack as many girls on top of you and maybe guys as I possibly can. So you lift, you get big, you get strong. Doing dips with 110-pound dumbbells between my feet, for Jesus sakes. I'm walking around thinking the body was bulletproof. Like you are the walking version of fucking Superman right now. And then one day in my home, out of nowhere, I was walking down the steps, and when I got to the second step, I felt this pinch in my low back. And the pinch traveled from basically the center of my lumbar region into my left ass cheek, down my hamstring to my heel, contracted my hamstring, dropped me down the stairs, and there I sat for the next 45 minutes, unable to move. No one else was home, no one was around. And you are helpless. That doesn't feel good. That's not cool at all. That brings you down a notch. And I wasn't lifting for probably solid 2 months or so after that. I mean, it wasn't great. So that little humbling experience let me know right away I had an overinflated, self-opinion, very overinflated. You may be strong. You may be able to do 1,000 pull-ups. You may be able to do, you can bench press 1,000 pounds, whatever. But wherever your strengths lie, you can best bet there's an equal and opposite weakness that you're not paying attention to. And that weakness is ultimately what catches up to you. So being realistic about how you actually view yourself and your actual, your appearance, your performance, whatever it is you're looking at, that realistic touch always needs to be there. If you're just kind of thinking that I should be able to place first in this race because I'm me and I haven't changed anything in my training in the past 20 years, that's called arrogance. And that's the kind of shit that shuts you down and puts you into depression and you don't want to train anymore. So, having said all of that and recapping this ridiculously long video, 5 strategies to think about to make sure that you're actually reaching your goals, reaching your fitness potential, and avoiding many of the missteps that a lot of people seem to stumble through as they, go down this path. 1, planning. It matters. You need to know what's coming next. You need to anticipate potential shortfalls. 2, consistency. Your plan doesn't matter if you can't keep doing it, if you can't roll through it. You've got to be able to reproduce. 3, study your opponent. Know what's coming at you. Understand your own weaknesses, understand your own strengths, and apply them accordingly. 4, willingness to be uncomfortable. Don't expect this to be a walk in the park. You want to change, you want to create a difference in your own world, it's not going to feel good. Accept that and move forward. that makes things a lot easier. And number 5, probably the most important, realistic self-opinion. Don't think that you should be able to just accomplish something because you're you. Look at yourself. Make sure you have something in place that addresses every one of the flaws that could potentially be exploited by whatever activity you're getting into. Sound good? Great. Enjoy the rest of your morning. It's about to rain. Thanks for watching. I hope this kind of gave you some things to help develop your own plan with. And if it is, great. Make sure and leave a comment in the box below. Don't forget to subscribe and check out our next upcoming videos. Thanks again. Talk to you later. Bye.